Now we get into something, what are the 6 reasons? Now, when we look at websites, we must have some kind of yardstick to measure or evaluate it. So I have a very, very simple solution to this. I look at something called the information architecture or navigation. The first thing. The second thing I would look at is the copy. The third thing I would look at is content of value. I will explain all this. The fourth thing I would look at is design. The fifth thing is capture devices. Because modern websites are run by all these things. Navigation, again, I'm looking at brand centricity versus customer centricity. In copy, I am looking at, are they talking about themselves or only the product, which is what I call tell, versus sell. Sell is essentially to do with persuasion. Pain of the pain, you will find social proof. You will find things like why you should buy this brand as opposed to something. You will find the steps to buying, and you will find something called CTAs. Now, this is the story format or structure. And this is basically saying, this is who I am. You figure whether this fits what you need, otherwise just buzz off. So this is what most people end up doing because they have no idea that this is what you need to do or any construct of how to sell. Content of value is to do with things like blogs, which educate the customer in that category. Case studies, which are essentially, I have done this for people like you kind of statement. Testimonials, which are third-party endorsements. Your trust symbols on the website, like whether you are part of the Better Business Bureau or your mouth shut reviews or your TripAdvisor reviews or whatever. Okay, those things signal to the customer that you are trustworthy. Okay, so you have blogs, case studies. There is a very important element here which people don't use as often as needed, which is called FAQs. So your lead magnets also fall here. Lead magnets could be PDFs, could be webinars, could be quizzes, could be templates for action, whatever. So different types of lead magnets are there, but all of them fall into something called content of value. So technically it can't, this is sell, and this is what you do to augment the sell. And this essentially builds two capabilities. One is trust, and the other one is authority. People buy from you once they trust you and once they perceive that you are the authority. Now, how do you do this online? You do it through content. Design, I'm not a designer, but I can tell you a few things which people miss when they do design. One is clutter. That means things are too crowded. The second thing is there is lack of proportion. And these are largely the issues. And there are certain design elements like breaking of the rhythm and all to capture attention. That means if your layout is with 3 columns at the top, then the next one will be a single column and the next one should be a double column. So you keep varying this structure and form to elicit attention. But if you keep everything the same, then you breed something called monotony. And attention gets distracted. So break in attention is a design issue. Now, lots of people who are in the web design business don't even understand simple design principles. So they end up doing sites which look and follow the same pattern, panel after panel after panel. Okay. So this is one thing which you can look at. Crowdedness, things like line spacing, putting the text in a smaller space opposed to a larger image. This thing, I've seen sites where there is copy going from end to end of the screen, which is probably a disaster when you are reading. I'll come to it later. Let me get into what are the issues with information architecture. So information architecture, the first issue that I see in most websites is laundry list menus. That means the menus read like laundry lists. They start with home and end with contact us with career, services, case studies, blogs, all listed. That means every link out there on the top has got an equal weightage. Why is this a disaster? This is a disaster because no one has thought about what is it that is most important to the customer. And I understand one thing, that if there are 2 things which are vying for your attention is divided 50% for this and 50% for this. And because this is the first one, add another 10% to this. So you will get 60% attention on this and reduce the 10% here. So you will get 40% next. Okay. Now suppose this is 8 of them on the, then all these things will reduce. So technically you're confusing the guy who has come to visit your site instead of getting him to focus. So what do? Look at this site. Okay, so it's just got 3 links. There's the services, which is the first, the meet our team, which is the second, and contact us along with a toll-free number. So does this site have only these many links? No. If you go to the footer, you will see a whole bunch of other links. Why are these links here and not here? Because if I put them there, the attention to these links will diminish. And these are the most important links I want someone to see. Now, white space. Now look at the break in rhythm here. Now you have text on the left, image on the right. Okay, and then you have 3 columns. So you start with 2 columns, you break it into 3, then it becomes virtually single, and then it breaks into 2 column again with the inverse, that is picture on the left, copy on the right. And then it gets into a 3 column with a different structure. Then it gets into probably what looks like 1 column, and then again 2 columns, then 3 columns, and then 4 columns. Now, do you see the break-in structure, guys? So this is called the breaking of the rhythm. The second thing is So this will tell you architectural issues. The other thing which I wanted to tell you is, in case you have testimonials, it should be contextual to the service that you're talking about, not another link called testimonials, go figure. So everything to do with this service, this is what I would call social proof, to say that we are the authority in this particular business. So you have got 120 plus years, you have worked with 100 plus brands, and you are 4 plus years in the business. This is the steps to buy. Speak with, so you have basically 1, 2, 3, 3 steps. Okay, and this is contrasted here with the price of status quo. This is the tragedy, and this is the success. Can everyone see my screen properly? Rajesh?
Yeah, Uni, yes.
Okay. So this is how we bring contrast into the. Now I'll show you a different site where price is mentioned. Now here you have contrast with the price. So the left thing is the tragedy and the right thing is the success. And the CTAs are here, which is enroll now. You have it in multiple places. And the pain problem is addressed in the first 2 panels before you get into the solution. This is basically the audience, the precise audience that this site is targeting, followed by the precise benefits of this particular solution. And you will have peer reviews here, and the faculty, what is the investment, and we've got FAQs, and we end it up with why should you buy this brand as opposed to some other brand. So essentially what this tells you is that, just put off your audio please, it's disturbing. What this tells you is there is a structure to selling. And this, in order to understand this structure, you need to understand how people buy. And you use persuasion to mimic what people buy. And this mimicking actually involves answering doubts and questions in people's heads. Does this make sense? So the problem with information architecture is, okay, so I showed you how testimonials need to be embedded. In other cases, you can have case studies embedded. I'll show you a case study embedded website. This is a capture device pointing to a PDF for download. And this is the case study, which is embedded contextually to this particular service, which is the selling of an NLP practitioner workshop. And though it is coming from a different page, it is being pulled into this page along with the, this is also coming from a separate page, but it's pulled into this page. And so are the testimonials contextually to this. So this is also coming from a separate silo in the content management system, but it's pulled contextually into this particular page. So all the persuasion needed to sell this product are available on this page itself. I'm not sending him like you would probably send someone in a BMC office in Mumbai. Okay, you first go to the first floor, and then the guy says go to the 6th, and the guy in the 6th says go to the 10th. So you can't get the customer to figure out where things are on your website. You are supposed to do that for him. Okay. The third problem with information architecture, because that has also to do with the labeling of links, is cleverness. Because everyone says about us, why should I call this about us? It's a bit like saying, everyone has got round wheels in their car, so I'll go and build square wheels. The problem is your square wheel won't work. If you want to innovate as far as cars are concerned, you should look at some parameter where it's worth innovating and not in labeling. Labeling has to be pretty much evident and not make the customer think. In fact, there is a great book in websites which says, "Don't make me think." Nobody comes to your website to think or invoke some Sherlock Holmes powers to figure out what this is all about. So don't make these mistakes. Labels should be evident. I mean, these are such fundamental things that people forget when they are doing websites. Okay, how do you evaluate copy? I've already told you this. Most websites tell but don't sell. Sell is very, very structured. It is answering of questions in the customer's head. It is not product description. So sell requires persuasion and knowing proven principles of selling. Now, most guys don't even get in here. I have clients who tell me mine is a commodity product. I sell accounts payables or whatever, receivables. Now, this is something which is very, very common in the market. People think that because they are selling this, you don't need to sell. You just need to state. But if there are too many account payable service providers, what would I do? I would go niche. I would say account payables for a particular type of company, which is SaaS businesses. And then understand the pains, problems of this business and tailor my messaging for this. So does it mean that if you are in a commodity business, you cannot sell? It isn't. It is basically, if you ask me, not using imagination enough. There are three things about copy which I would look for. These are quick methods to immediately tell me whether the persuasion, the copy flow is right or wrong on a particular website. I do it for two reasons. One is when people come to me and I want to revamp the website, or when I'm looking at 4 competitors of the particular website and I need to evaluate how they are selling. So you basically look at these 3 factors. One, what is the kind of persuasion that they are employing? Is it tell or is it sell? And 2, as I mentioned upfront a while ago, is the brand the hero of the story or is the customer the hero of the story? Ideally, it should be the customer. The third is the presence or absence of social proof. Now, when I say social proof, I also mean trust and authority kind of content, which is there in blogs and lead magnets and those kind of content as well, along with case studies and testimonials. Now, if it has all this, then it is pretty mature selling happening on that particular website. If it doesn't have this, then it shows that there is a lot of scope for improvement. This is essentially what I talked earlier, content of value. And where would you look? Blogs, case studies, testimonials, FAQs. Lead magnets also come in here. Lead magnets could be webinars or PDFs. PDFs could be templates, or at the top of the awareness funnel, it could be how to buy in this particular category, or the mistakes that you're making in this particular category. Design. This is not an exhaustive list, so this is just to give you a quick insight whether it is merely decoration. Is it too cluttered? Is it formatted versus unformatted? Is there some proportion? Now, I've used an interesting term here called golden ratio. There is something called a GRT calculator online. Now, I'll just show this to you because this is worth mentioning here. Now, all you need to do in this is to select a font, which could be a Google font, and either you indicate the font size or you indicate the content width. Suppose your website is, say, 1000 pixels wide, or you're setting the copy in 1000 pixel width. Then what is the ideal font size? I need to enter the font size. I don't know why this is not working. Okay, technically it should work. For some strange reason, it isn't working today. This tells you the ideal setting for the width, and for a given width, what should be the ideal font size and the line height for it. And it will tell you the H1 through H6 ratios as well. And this is all done to something called the golden ratio. The golden ratio is essentially 1:1.61. Now, this ratio is widely prevalent in nature. When you say
Hi, Unni.
Yeah.
Sorry, Deepak here. So that website, I think you have entered the dots at the end.
Okay, that's probably
and the little thing over there.
No, yeah, I'm trying to do it on the iPad. For some strange reason, it's not deleting. There you go. It's showing me that the ideal font size for 1000 should be, if you're talking about headlines, 76, and line height should be 116. And if you're looking at body copy, it will be 23 and 40. And this is how it should look. Okay. It not only does this, it also gives you the CSS for the whole thing. So it makes matters very, very simple and easy for the designer. Now, because most website guys don't come from a design background, all this is missed out. Now, somebody like Vasu will know this instinctively, or 𝗵𝗶𝗶 if she's there. But most people have no clue about all these things. So this is the ratio. This is widely prevalent in nature. So the human body also conforms to this ratio. So if you were to look at the palm of your hand, the digits are 1. If this is 1, this should be 1.161, and so on and so on. So the ratio from the length of the palm to the length of the wrist is also 1.61. So you will find this repeatedly happening even in the human body. And if you look at the face of someone beautiful, they are more aligned to the golden ratio. That's why they look beautiful. So forehead, eyes, nose, mouth, these parameters will follow the 1:1.61 ratio. So in design, this is a widely used practice. And even if you're not a designer, you can use these rules to bring some element of sanity into your design. So this is where the proportions come in. And the next thing I would look at is, are they clued in onto capture devices? That means how many capture devices are there on their website? If most websites, if you notice, have got only one, which is the inquiry contact form. What I'm talking about is multiple capture devices. So you have a newsletter, you have a lead magnet, or you have a resources with multiple resources to choose from. You could attend a webinar, you could see a video, you could download a PDF or a template which tells you how to do things. So the more the capture devices, the greater the chances that you will capture actually. And the last thing is nurture systems. That means what happens after the capture? Is it that people are sitting on the email addresses, or is there a dialogue which has started after you given your email addresses? Now, all these are important because this particular nurture systems come under retention, and the capture system and the capture thing comes under what I would call conversion. So this is conversion, this is retention. And once these systems are present, it would be a good practice to drive traffic to your website, because You now have the systems to leverage that traffic. Otherwise, it's not a great idea.